Hi, everyone. I'm Krista McNamara, editorial director of P10 and Motor Age magazines. The task of recruiting young technicians into the aftermarket and keeping them here throughout their career has been a leading challenge, and one that will have a great impact on the future success of the automotive repair industry. It's really vital to understand the importance of building a business environment that attracts the younger technician generation through creative and effective recruitment strategies, but also helps to retain them with retention plans built on today's emerging priorities. I have with me today three industry stakeholders who are all, working in their collective roles to support young technicians entering the automotive aftermarket. First, we have Anthony Williams, Special Project Manager for Advanced Auto Parts and the founder of the Automotive Institute of Science and Technology, which is an innovative high school program that helps to inspire successful careers in STEM-focused industries. Welcome, Anthony.
Hello, Krista.
Next, we have Maurice Miller, who's a Technical Support Director with Autel North America. Hi, Maurice.
Hi, Krista. How you doing?
Good. And lastly, we have Jennifer Maher, CEO of the TechForce Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization that champions students to and through their education and into careers as professional technicians. Thank you for joining us, Jennifer.
Thanks for having me.
So we're here today to talk about what the best young technicians are truly looking for in a career and how you can build those priorities into your recruitment and retention strategies. And we're going to learn a little bit more about how these stakeholders are working to support young techs to give you all some ideas to take back and implement in your businesses. So let's get started. The process of hiring in young technicians is, really no casual feat, but one great starting place is creating career pathways for new recruits. Anthony, can you walk us through some of the benefits of building a career pathway?
Absolutely. So when building any pathway, it's like going to the grocery store. If you don't have a direct list of what you need, you could end up asking for more or forgetting something at the store. Same thing when creating a career pathway. Everybody wants to see exactly what they're getting into, and they want to be able to check things off as they go through them. So one of the first and most important things about building a career pathway is having a clear scope and knowing exactly what your shop or your part of the industry, what they need to have, what does a technician need to know, what's absolutely a necessity, and start building from there. Outside of just the scope, having a sequence of events, putting things in order. What do they need to know first? What do they need to know second? Most of the training that we have on the job, when you go shop to shop, everybody just kind of throws everything out there and asks the technician, what do you want to learn next? And sometimes everybody goes for the like, let's go with the newest and sexiest thing possible. Hey, I want to learn about scopes. But before you can learn how to do a scope capture or read a scope capture, you have to understand how electricity works and how it behaves. So understanding that from the training aspect and understanding what do they need to know before they get to scopes or before they get to advanced AC charging, they need to understand some of the basics and principles. So putting things into a sequence. At CTI, we've been working hard on trying to build out that sequence, but it's not just for one company. So we've actually been working with several other people in the industry. Jen and we've spent countless hours on the phone talking about apprenticeships and internships and sequence of learning projects. And we've worked with NASTEF, Donnie Cipher over at NASTEF. They have the Road to Great Technicians. Everybody has the same questions and has the same theories about it, but it's trying to put everybody's thoughts together so that we all have a shared plan. But the most important thing to get from it is that there is a scope and sequence to training, something that people can look at and know and take step by step and know where they are on their journey.
Now, the notion of a career pathway can be a little bit overwhelming, I would think, to a new young technician. What is the time frame on this? Is this something that you look to revisit every year with a technician to maybe update the path?
Oh, it has to be a lot more common than yearly. And when you think about a pathway, it is a long journey. The Road to Great Technicians actually has a great way to look at it. They have a visual representation. On a roadway, there's on-ramps and off-ramps. As people get into the field and as a teacher myself, when I have students come in, they're excited about the automotive industry and they want to get dirty, they want to get into the tools. But as soon as they start working and realize that sometimes your aptitude doesn't match what your desire thinks you want. I have students that come in that they love cars, they want to be a mechanic, and then they start working at it and realize they don't have the physical dexterity to be a mechanic. Doesn't mean they don't belong in the industry. Sometimes I've had students go, hey, I really love making sure the toolbox is inventoried, making sure that we have the correct tools and the correct parts. And that's an entire part of our industry that gets overlooked regularly. Who's training for the parts department? You get technicians that are in the field that, maybe doing good in the field, but they're getting tired and they just don't get underneath dashboards the same way. They don't like crawling on their knees and getting elbow deep inside of an engine compartment. They can take that knowledge and they can move it over into the parts department and bring all of that experience into helping technicians get the right parts and quickly. So looking at the technician pathway, understand that it has a million different offshoots in it. Jen, Maurice, and I, we're all in the automotive industry, but many of us won't touch a wrench today. It doesn't make us any less important or any more important. We all just play a different role. And that's the idea of creating a pathways, understanding that as that technician is learning, they may find an off ramp that doesn't lead to your bay, but that can still benefit your company. Or vice versa. You may find somebody that's behind a counter somewhere that could be phenomenal in a bay.
Mm-hmm. So in addition to being extremely specific, it also has to be extremely flexible.
Exactly. And that's what keeps me busy every single day, trying to build this extremely specific and extremely flexible program that fits everybody's needs across an entire industry.
So, not only do technicians really want to see the potential of where they could end up lined out, but in order to get there, they also need some help along the way. So, Jennifer, can you talk to us about why mentorship and apprentice opportunities are so important as technicians grow and advance?
You bet. Well, I mean, in the end of the day, life is about people, right? It's about people, it's about our relationships. And if you think back, most of our jobs we found because we found somebody or somebody found us. And so Skills USA has great research that says it takes one person to introduce you to your next career. And that is the truth. So there's a tech shortage going on in America, right? And all over the world. And that's where TechForce really said, we have to start trying to find the solutions instead of just complaining that there's a shortage. It's like the running of the bulls. For every one person who comes out of a technical education, there's 15 employers running after them, throwing, tuition reimbursement and tool allowances and things. And it's not going to work because the shortage is so deep. Our supply and demand report shows that we're graduating 57,000 techs in auto, diesel, and collision each year. And yet the demand is 125,000 new entrants just to keep up with demand. So that gap, it's horrible. And just placing ads isn't going to solve it. So you have to start backing up. You have to start growing your own. You have to start being part of an industry that welcomes young people to consider this career path. And that means you have to open yourself up to being the person that shows up in the life of a future tech, making them excited, helping them understand that you want them as part of this industry and as part of your own workforce. And that's going to be important. But they don't know, the days of tinkering on a car in your garage is pretty much gone. And so young people today don't have those hands-on experiences. It's also changing. The evolving technology, you can't just lift your hood and start tinkering. So the young people we talk to at TechForce, we interview them, we do focus groups, and they say, look, you can get me excited about the automotive industry. I get it. I know these are computers on wheels. I know EV, electric vehicles are coming. There's so much neat stuff that it's like you have the mechanics, but you also have all the diagnostic, the computers, the electrical. There's so many ways that even beyond just turning the wrench, the diagnostic, the problem solving, there's a lot of opportunities and they know it, but yet they say, you got to get my parents and the counselors out of my way because they're the ones poo-pooing it. They're the ones like, what do you want to do that for? So having mentors and business people who are employers, whether you work for a mom and pop or a dealership or you're just a car enthusiast, sharing that passion with the next generation and letting them say, it's okay. It's okay to love this. And quite frankly, it's a great career path. That is the best storytelling, the best way to mentor. And then again, it does take time and it's a pain to have apprenticeships or interns, and everybody gets worried about the laws and, well, I can't have it under 21 or I can't. You've got to find your way to fix it, because this is a problem stifling the industry. And we've got to get them in early and get them excited. And as Nancy said, there's a career ladder and a lattice. You can go do so many other things, but just starting with the core of knowing how it all works and having these skills that allow you to live and work anywhere. Telling people that, young people, Gen Z likes freedom. They like to be able to go and live and work anywhere. And having those skill sets are incredibly valuable.
So for shops looking to put a mentorship or apprentice program in place, what are some of the characteristics that you would say are most important when looking for those people to help lead those programs?
Yeah, I think, again, it's one of those things that the industry is fragmented, and we at TechForce and Anthony and Maurice, we're all trying to start to collaborate so that people can go to as we say at TechForce, we want to be this hub where you can find and download best practices to be putting those things together. So I would say, trying to look at some of the experts in the apprenticeships and mentorships and borrowing the best practices so that you don't just wing it. Bring in a young person and start to say, what do you want to learn today? And just teaching them, because sometimes our challenge is that we're not teaching them the right stuff. We teach it our way. It's kind of like the math teacher. If I teach you math the way I learned math, it may not be the way you're going to learn math. So we have to be able to borrow some. And Anthony, you may want to jump in here because you're really poised on the apprenticeship and mentorship programs. But I'd say, go ahead and borrow best practices. But you've got to give people an opportunity to dabble. And I think our industry has to come to reckon with the challenge that we have with flat rate and others, where sometimes we don't, our techs don't want to slow down to be able to teach somebody else because it hurts him or her. We've got to find solutions to that. And that's what we're all on the phone collaborating, trying to find out, how do we do stipend scholarships and grants to help shops be able to fill that gap or to solve that issue. That makes sense. Anthony, anything to add on the mentorship apprenticeship?
I do. One of the things that I know we've talked about before is where we're looking. And I love listening to Jen talk, and like it gets me so excited. I'm like, let's jump back into this again. Let's just start brainstorming. We got to have solutions. Everybody has a gripe. Everybody can tell you what's wrong with the system, what's wrong with our industry. We're eating our own. Everybody has a gripe, but truly getting people ready to try to find solutions. And the first solution that I like putting out to everybody is you have to, as Jen said, you have to invest yourself into their lives before they get to you. If you're just putting out, you're on Indeed and Monster looking for applications, you're going to get a million applications. But if you're in the high schools and even go down to the middle schools and you're inside there, don't just look for automotive. Go to the science class, go to the math class. Jen brought up, math teachers teach math how they learn math. Here's the thing is, I love math teachers, but people who love math become math teachers. And people who just find it terrifying like me, we don't get it. We can't apply it. We get scared and we get thrown away. But if you take a technician or a shop owner and you put them inside with that math teacher and they collaborate on a lesson and make it real world, start talking about exponential growth using charts that affect money and growth over years, now exponents make sense. And now you may find a student who never thought about automotive, who wasn't thinking about wrench turning, who has no idea what this field has, but maybe you just lit up his life about math and he goes, wait, I can apply this and I'm good at it and it makes sense. What else do you have? And you could find, there's a whole untapped area of talent that we're not even scratching. We're not even looking for. There's students in STEM classes, or advanced science classes, or advanced applied sciences that are dealing with AC components that don't even know it. They don't know about HVAC. They're looking at it going, okay, well, I get how it expands. I get how temperature affects. The laws are making sense, but what am I going to do with it? I love this, but where am I going to go with it? And that's when you get, HVAC people and they're going, hey, this is daily for us. We deal with enthalpy charts. We look at these concepts and we diagnose with it. And here's a whole nother pool of applicants that we haven't even touched.
And here's some advice for our listeners, right? Which is TechForce, we're a charity, we're a nonprofit. We have no dog in the fight other than to help connect these people coming through the pipeline and into placement. That's our role. So what we know is all of these high school auto shop instructors, all the post-secondary, the community college shop instructors, they cannot handle all the inbound or the fragmented requests to help, or, hey, I have an internship opportunity or apprenticeship, or I need a tech, and you're calling that local high school. So let's think of it two ways, which is they desperately need you, and yet they can't handle you. That's the fact. And that's why TechForce is stepping in with our community engagement liaison program, where we can work with the the high school instructors and the post-secondary instructors to say, okay, what do you need? I need 4 people to serve on my advisory committee. And then we can look back and be like, okay, let's get you 4. What do you need? We have a career fair in 3 months. Okay, let's put that out there. By having an integrator helping as that right hand to connect you, you're not leaving voice messages and trying to connect with them unsuccessfully, but instead working through a system that plugs you in. And yet you as an employer can be like, yeah, I can take 50 future techs out to a NASCAR race. I'd like to go to the NASCAR race anyway. And I'll take them out there and hand out my business cards and get to know them and meeting them and greeting them. And then maybe you can find a relationship and they'll come to work for you. But we can make those things happen on your behalf, because that's what streamlines it. And that's what's been missing, is everybody's just kind of fragmented, running around trying to connect instead of connecting through the TechForce peer network. So we hope that's something we're doing to help, whether it's in the apprenticeships or just even finding employers, finding people, and the students finding schools, finding hands-on opportunities, finding the clubs and the different programs. But they're out there, and this is where there's a disconnect. If I go to the makers space groups, if I go to the after-school nonprofits who have workforce development strategies, when I go to the cities and the states and their workforce task forces, guess who's not at the table? Automotive. Construction's there, healthcare is there, automotive is sorely lacking. So we need to collaborate and sit down and say, we're a massive employer and we're here to stay and we're here to play.
Okay, so we've talked about the importance of career pathways, the importance of mentorship and apprentice opportunities, and then in general, just the importance of having and building these relationships, not only among the industry stakeholders, but also with, the up and coming young technicians. So Maurice, do you have any other successful recruitment or retention strategies that you've seen in your experience that you think shops should, try their hand at?
I actually do, Kristen. Thanks for taking the opportunity to meet with us. There's some things that we have done here with Autel, and we've had a lot of success with it. And and I think what happens is that we as employers, we were so set on going on websites, looking for resumes and things like that, instead of going to tech sites, colleges, looking at alumni that may specialize in the things that we do to look at them for possible recruitment. So what we do here, excuse me, is we actually do meet with a lot of local colleges, some of the state institutes, a lot of the colleges that do have the automotive sectors. And the reason why is because when I was in school, when I was in college, my instructors kind of pretty much beat into my head that I was going to school for automotive engineering and I was going to be working in a repair shop. But I had no idea that retail played a huge part in automotive. I had no idea that technical support played a huge part in automotive. I had no idea that just like any of it. So a lot of what we do is we do visit the technical institutes and we try to share our success stories. Where Math plays a big part, like you guys mentioned. Science plays a big part, as what you guys mentioned. But the biggest part of it all is like the technology. So if we look at ADAS calibrations and things like that, if we have, and this isn't to discriminate anybody, but if we have our 55, 65-year-old technician, he's not the type that wants to do that ADAS calibration. So, again, adding the curriculum, to our college students definitely is something certainly worthwhile. So that's a little bit of information that we do seek and we do try to put into like a lot of these technical institutes when it comes down to it.
Mhm.
Kind of chime back on it, a lot of success stories, a lot of success rates with a lot of the local colleges. If I had any advice, I would certainly advise shop owners to, maybe speak with, maybe somebody in a technical institute to look at them for possibly, recruitment when it comes down to it.
Mhm. Now, Anthony, what about you? Can you discuss your experience with both the Automotive Institute of Science and Technology and with Advance Auto about how both of those entities are working to, support and encourage young technicians?
Absolutely. And you can't see on this side because I have my camera off, but when Maurice was talking right now, I was jumping up and down and cheering and whatnot when he started talking about the math and the exciting. And there is, again, I'm with Maurice. I don't want to alienate any age group, but there is a certain point where technicians go, I don't want to learn the newest, latest tool or technique, and they get in there because they have to. They're the A tech or master tech or whatever, but they don't want to be there. And sometimes the smallest things, especially when you start looking at like ADAS calibrations, lighting makes a huge issue. And
Absolutely.
Jen said something that I'm gonna poke at her a little bit because I feel like it's an outdated idea, but it was the going to the NASCAR race, and I love Jen to death, but if somebody offered me and say, hey, do you want to go to a NASCAR race? I'd be like, nah, not really. But if somebody says, hey, do you want to go to a bot battle, or you want to go to a robot event, I would be on it like you wouldn't believe. I'd be halfway out the door asking, where can I go? Where do I get in? Where's the bus at? And when you think about it, the way we're building out AIST, the Automotive Institute, is on that premise that let's look at cars from all the other aspects. What can I learn about cars from repairing microwaves? What can I do with even stuff around the house? How does a cell phone work? How does Bluetooth work? And those same concepts are in our cars. They're inside of our infotainment centers. How does my computer work? How do these internet site blockers work? Those are some of the same things that are found in our industry that people go, I don't care about the infotainment center. It doesn't work. Let's just pull it out and replace it. We have to build out classes where students get to see it outside of the car and like it and love it. And then we show, hey, we also have it here and you can play with it every day. You can manipulate it, you can change it, you can, create aftermarket products for these systems. And that's what we need to do. And that's what the Automotive Institute is doing. And that's what we partner with Advanced Auto Parts, TechForce Foundation, NASTEF, ASE, everybody, the Rocky Mountain Automotive Teachers Society. We gather everybody together and we say, where do you use these skills outside of the industry? And then go there. Find the people that love that part of their industry or find that part of their hobbies and bring them back. You get students that love robots and they're looking at all these sensors. They have radar, they have LiDAR, they have sonar, and you go, hey, wait, I got that too. Come here. This is a 2020 Toyota Camry and I have all of those in a much bigger robot. Donnie Cypher does a great job explaining, he had a class that was called Real Robots, and where he explains and shows that, man, we have more lines of code inside of our cars today than any program that they're going to find or any hobby that they're going to find outside of our industry. We have everything that they love. They're spending thousands and thousands of dollars on these toys when they can come play with a bigger version for free and make money and make a good living at it. But Jen tapped on it earlier, though. If you go the other side of it, they can take that same skill and they can go into the hospital industry and they can work on that equipment and they can do the same thing that they're going to do in the garage in a nice, cool atmosphere with better pay, better benefits, and not be running against a clock. So if you want to get them to come to us, we got to go down, we got to look at the problem systemically and go, hey, we got to make sure that we have a place that competes with that work area and that industry.
Mhm. So, Jen, just circling back to you, obviously the TechForce Foundation is working with young technicians every day. So what is some, simple advice that you can offer shops on how to try to best recruit this next generation of technicians, and then, show continued support for their career development?
That's right. Well, you may have heard, the joke about, hey, boomer, right? And so we have to start allowing young people to look at this industry through their lenses. And we have to start talking to them through those lenses. What I guess I'm saying is, at TechForce, just as Anthony poked me, I'm over 50, so it's easier for me to start using jargon or terms or to think like a Gen Xer because I am. And we have to stop ourselves and we have to constantly think about how do we make it attractive to the millennials and the Gen Zoomers, right? Because I'm a Gen X, I'm not a Gen Z. We're going to think differently. And that's why that whole phenomena came on last year, hey, boomer, right? Which is, you don't think like me. If you're going to tell me to put my cell phone away, it's not going to work for me, because I'm not here to play on my cell phone, but it's how my kids reach me. It's how an emergency, if I don't know how to do something, I'm going to Google it first because I don't want to look like an idiot to my boss. It's their tool, it's their information, and they expect information. They grew up with information at their fingertips. So advice is you have to start to present yourself to them. Gen Z, Zoomers, right? Where they are the most socially conscious generation since World War II. What does that mean? They want to make an impact in the world. They don't want to wake up every day and just sell widgets or fix cars. When I interview them, they get excited about making things work, keeping America rolling, helping people stay safe, helping things get to where they want to go, right? And that they feel like they're helping people. That tapping into that passion that they're doing more than just renting, is what exciting when it's about working on the technology that's going to bring, autonomous or electric vehicles. They light up. They love that. They are also, because they're used to information, they want the roadmap, not just the career path, but they literally, if you want to recruit and retain them, Gen Z wants to know every 3 months, if I accomplish what, then what happens? And if I work for you for 6 months, then what happens? And after a year, when do I get a pay increase? When do I get a new next level? They grew up under parents who worked for years for the same company and maybe put in 5 years and then found they had to leave to move up. Right. And so they say, hey, look, I'm happy to work for you, but I'm not going to work blind indefinitely. That's not how they're wired. So as a recruiter and an employer, having milestones and sharing that with them, that if you do this and you do that and you learn these skill sets, then I'll step you up. That is actually an incredible tool that very few take the time to actually create that for themselves. So that's one advice. Second is 52% of the population are women, yet less than 3% of technicians are female. So if we actually want to solve the technician shortage, start inviting 52% of the population to join. That means everything from your own promotions, is that if you're only showing the old school mechanic and not necessarily the plethora of all of the different skills and vehicles that you might work on to have that more exciting. But also, if the imagery is all white men, you're not sending out diversity and inclusion. So you have to look at your own marketing. If I walk into your shop and I see pinup posters, then I might not feel quite welcome. If I'm never interviewed by a female tech, I know you don't have them. I'm less inclined to want to have to go it alone there. I walk into the bathroom to take a break and I can tell quickly whether you care about your female customers or whether you care about your female techs. These are all little things about the diversity inclusion aspect of it as well. That's huge. And I think, you know, what TechForce keeps striving for and why I love Anthony's poke is you're right. I should talk about, you know, our influencers who are drifters and things like that that get the young people excited. And we have to be able to put that face forward, because unfortunately, too many times the imagery that they see is not themselves.
Jen, you're a rock star. Oh my goodness, I'm super excited. I want to tap and add on a little bit because she hit so many awesome aspects, and inclusion and diversity is not just a hot button topic now. It's been that way for a while, and we've ignored it way too long. And God, Jen just nailed it out of the park with that. Does your shop look like I want to be there? Do I feel comfortable? Do I see myself wanting to be there all day, every day? Or am I going to have to like ick and yuck my way through? If you got, again, pinup posters, dude, 1970s done, dude, get it out of here. That's long gone. We're not about that life. Move it out. All right. But even when she said the career path, as a millennial, I don't like a straight line. The pathway isn't a single road, a 2-lane highway heading out to the middle of nowhere. It's like a huge roundabout. You could take a million different aspects. And I think you even called it earlier, Jen, you or Maurice called it a lattice. And that's the best visual picture I can imagine, because sometimes I might want to get out of the garage and do something else in the industry, but I want to come back to the garage later and do more in the garage. And then maybe I want to poke back out and go play with Maurice at Autel and design and create and test and research. And then I want to come back and I want to see it in action inside the garage. And then I want to go do some parts for a little while and give my body a break. And then I want to come back again. Like, that's how my brain works. I'm a squirrel. So Jen's like, I want to put her up on a pedestal. I'm like, I want the industry to be like Jen, please.
And that's the thing is we see the attributes of our techs. They're curious, right? Yeah. And so you want to allow them to dabble in all this stuff. And that's why, again, as a charity, I'm like, I don't have a dog in the fight. I show the whole smorgasbord to people and say, what floats your boat? 20% of all of TechForce's scholarships and grants go to veterans. So there's another place for recruiting and attracting people into your shop. They're coming back with incredible skill sets. Every employer wants a vet because they're disciplined, they show up. And as you know, we always joke at TechForce, it's not so much about the student's grade in the scholarships and grants. We want them to be obviously smart and that they've got good grades, but the attendance, the 100% attendance, because they're going to show up in that bay every day, is so important. We can all know we can keep teaching them what they don't know and make them better. But that commitment, but don't ignore the veterans, because they're coming out, they've worked on billions of dollars of equipment during deployment, but they come home and they can't touch your Kia. And they have to go through and get the new certifications, et cetera. So, you know, this is where, you know, TechForce works with, whether it's the military or the bases, the transition groups that are helping those vets explore opportunities. Again, getting them through that pipeline into placement with you, but you don't know what you don't know. And that's why we're just trying to consolidate everything into that. The URL is jointechforce.org for this new peer network that we have, where people can find each other. Because if a vet is coming home and they want to redeploy here in the States, and they want to go home to Wichita, Kansas, I am sure there are people in Wichita looking for that brilliant mind. But you don't know because they're deployed overseas. So how would you ever meet each other unless it's through these connection dots?
Great. I mean, thank you all so much for your insight. This has been such a great conversation. And I really think that you've reinforced with all of our viewers just the importance of comprehensive recruitment and retention strategies, some of the long-term, you know, issues that we need to be thinking of solutions to, and just ways to help target this young generation of technicians that are going to be so incredibly vital for the future success of the aftermarket. And P10 and Motor Age are also working to do our part to shine a light on the standout young technicians in the industry today. Our Best Young Tech Award program, supported by marquee sponsors Milwaukee Tool, CarQuest Technical Institute, and WorldPac Technical Institute, really aims to recognize technicians 35 years old or younger who are moving the service repair industry forward, excelling in their current role, and are passionate about their work. And, you know, the award comes with recognition, but it also comes with some very good prizes. The grand prize winner will receive a round trip flight and lodging for 2 nights for the Apex and SEMA shows in November in Las Vegas, a trip for 2 to the STX Supplier and Training Expo in March 2022, and prize packets from program sponsors that include power tools and professional training opportunities. And, you know, we thank Autel and TechForce Foundation as well for partnering with us on the program. So nominate a technician you know now, or encourage them to nominate themselves by going to vehicleservicepros.com/2021 Best Young Tech. And the deadline for nominations is July 31st. So we really hope that together we can make the automotive aftermarket a sought after career path for the young generation and ensure the continued successful future for our industry for years to come. So thank you for watching.